Happy 2022! Yes, we all made it. A brand new year which comes with new milestones to achieve, new schooling year for your little ones, new excitement in the air, and most importantly, new opportunities. With the new measures introduced last month, 15 December, are there still opportunities around? Let's have a quick look on what the changes are and what could its possible effects be. The objective of these measures is to promote a stable and sustainable property market. The first is the ABSD, or the Additional Buyer Stamp Duty, an increase of 5% to 15% across all categories. The ones that are not affected would be your Singaporean families or individuals buying their first property and SPRs buying their first property. Right? It actually already affects your second and third property from an increase for Singaporeans from a 12 to 17, and then from 15 to 25%. And for your SPRs, it's the same. Your second property will be an additional 10%. We will be at 25%, and then a plus 15% for a third property onwards at 30%. All right. So this will actually show you that it is best for you to work towards positioning yourself and your family in the first category, right? Where you pay 0 ABSD or just a 5%. Therefore, plan well, decouple for those of you that wants to decouple, and then think about how you can do that. This ABSD, to me at least, the one bedrooms are going to be affected because predominantly the one bedrooms are open up to these two groups of people, right? Those who are in their 30s, perhaps after the MOP of their property, they resell it, buy a place for own stay, and then they purchase a one bedroom from an investment with a timeline of perhaps 5 to 8 years to make the returns, and they don't pay any ABSD anyway. The people that are willing to pay the ABSD are actually those who are actually in this category of the mid-40s, where they have already purchased their HDB in the past at a relatively affordable price, having fully paid it off under two names. They love the HDB so much, yet they want to get into the property market. They will buy something of a lower quantum, and paying a 7% or a 12% in the past will be fine because their time horizon is really long. But now, for them to pay a 17%, I think they might take on a wait and see attitude. And therefore, in my opinion, the demand of one bedders is going to drop. Right? But anyway, this is just what I think. For foreigners, there's an increase of 10% to 30%, and I think they would be cooling off or staying away from the residential property for a while, and most probably they should be moving their funds towards the shop houses. All right, so I actually see that the shop houses should be increasing this year. Yep. And for entities now, entities will actually means companies or private developers. In my previous video, I was sharing with you there's already this additional 5% tax, which is non-remittable. It's a tax given, right? So increase of cost. And they had ABSC of 25% in the past, whereby if they fulfill to sell the house, or rather all the units within a 5-year period, they are actually able to get back this 25%, right? But now that ABSC increased by another 10%. Therefore, it is going to be a higher cost for them to bid for any land for redevelopment, and they will also have to weigh that risk. If they do not sell all the units in 5 years because of all the other new measures, they have 35% inside there that is going to be confiscated, right? So I think moving forward is going to be really interesting because I think the developers are going to be very cautious, and there is a very good possibility that the new land bids are going to be concluded at a lower price. Okay, so do look out for it, and I think if it's possible, there could be very good arbitrage positions whereby newer lands that have been released, especially those that were announced last month and those that are going to close their bids soon, you will actually get a much more favorable launch price at the time. All right, so let's just see what happens this year. The second cooling measure is a tightening of the individual TDSR, or the total debt servicing ratio. Now, this was what I feared in early 2021 when there was a lot of chatter on what were the possible cooling measures that might be implemented, right? Because this measure is the one that with this one move, it will cause an immediate impact in the market. Let me show you what this means. Let's take a property value of 1.5 million. taking on a loan of 75%, which would be 1.125 million. In the past, a 60% TDSR would mean that this household will need to have an income of $10,875, right? And today, with the new measures introduced, they have to have an income of $11,863. So this is somewhat, I would say, not much of a significance because it's just about $1,000 more, isn't it? But when you change this quantum now to $3 million, taking on a loan, 75% will be 2.25 million. Previously, a 60% TDSR would mean an income of $21,749, and now at 55% would be equals to $23,726. All right. So the jump is a bit more; it's about $2,000 more. But if you have noticed, we have not factored in other personal debts such as your credit card debts or even your car loan. Yeah. So you can see how this measure will have immediate effect on the market. Another thing you will notice is that these calculations involves two persons, one household. If they are working or planning to own two residential properties, their budget, you realize, will then be significantly reduced. If not, then unfortunately, the Singapore dream of owning multiple properties for this family has sadly become just another fairy tale. Finally, the last measure, the reduction of LTV for HDB property from 90% to 85%. What this means is that you can borrow up to 85% of the HDB value as a HDB loan. This is good as it reduces overall debt in the HDB market. I don't have the numbers, but this should only affect the first-timers purchasing BTOs, especially those early to mid-20s. For those already in the resale market, you hardly will be able to enjoy 90% financing previously, right? As all your grants and your CPF deductions will have brought your loan significantly lower. And especially those of you who took advantage of the bank's interest rates, you're already on a 75% anyways, okay? So personally, I felt that this measure, I don't see the HDB market cooling off anytime soon, unless supplies catches up really fast and the delivery of flats cuts short. In fact, I think it may well continue to increase this year. All these measures are going to attract a particular group of Singaporean families into the resale market. They will perhaps on the fence deciding between getting a HDB or a private property. Private property, too expensive, right? Yet HDB at the time they might felt is not really worth because it's a too high of a price. Working from home is also another factor. Yep. Private property is too small. HDB has a good size, and so they've been looking around and shopping for a while, right? Do you know anyone like that? Well, with these measures that have been introduced, they may now well decide on purchasing their first HDB, right, under one name, and then decide on a private fire later. This will further increase the demand for HDB resale flats. So if you are still in the market shopping for a HDB property, please do not be silly and start giving lowball offers. Alright, thinking that the HDB market will drop in price.
Let us now take a look on how the past cooling measures affected the market. So you can see this is actually the Singapore Residential Property Price Index. The periods are from the third quarter of 2013 all the way to the third quarter of 2021, right? So you can see it actually corrected from the high point of 154.6 at the time after all the measures were actually introduced, and one of the biggest measures that was actually contributed to this correction was the introduction of the TDSR of 60%. So Singapore property market actually experienced a 15-quarter drop to its lowest point, which is here at 136.6. Yeah, and this will actually translate to a 11.6% correction, and after that we kind of bounced back up. And in 2018, there was a previous measures introduced. There was a lowering down of the LTV from 80% to 75%, and also introduction of additional buyer stamp duty, right? But you can see that these two did not really play any much significance. There was a very small correction, and this was only observed in the first quarter of 2019. Very small dip before it bounced all the way up, right? One of the few factors I will contribute this to why it continue to go up would be number one, all the on-block money that we experienced in 2017 to 2018. This was almost 17 over billion dollars, right? Recycled back into the market, causing the upward movement of the price index. The next thing, why there was a small dip and it bounced back up, is because of COVID-19. Right, we experienced a disruption of supplies, delay in constructions, higher manpower, and basically just inflation that brought everything all the way up to 165.3 today. Okay. So the question now we want to ask is, with these latest cooling measures introduced in December, are we going to experience the same downward movement that we experienced back in 2014?
So will we then face a market correction? Indeed, we will. And this question is for all of you to answer in the comment section. Which property segment, which property type do you think will drop in price? Alright friends, I hope this has been helpful to you and you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching and till next time.